People have assumed in the Gang of 500 that Kamala Harris wasn't going to run for president. And so Gavin Newsom wasn't going to have to deal with all the complexities if they both ran. But this interview she did with the New York Times has people deluging me with not just questions about it, but also saying they think she's going to run. And she talked about Gavin Newsom in the interview. It's a couple days old, but if you haven't read it, you should. Here's what she said about Gavin Newsom, Governor Newsom, in her interview with the New York Times. Can she envision a President Newsom? She was asked. Quote, he has to make that decision if he wants to first. I think Gavin is very talented. I really do. And I think we have many talented people. Now, Gavin Newsom did like I said earlier, Gavin Newsom and Governor Shapiro are both out there like a lot. Governor Bashir too. And he did an interview with Ezra Klein of the New York Times for his podcast. It's so wonky and boring. We looked like it's like an hour. We looked for like an interesting soundbite to play. Literally nothing, because they just wonked out on abundancy or whatever that thing is called. Is that what it's called? Abundancy? Is that what it is? Abundance. Anyway, forget that. But we played this entire video last night on Two Way Tonight. But because some of you didn't see it, this is Gavin Newsom. It's a slickly produced 2-minute video about his memoir that's coming out next year. Here's a little bit of it, just to give you a sense of this. And again, I find the irony here. A guy who's trying to convince people this book will convince you he's not slick is telling you that in a slickly produced video with slick music. Roll that, please.
This is not the book you'd expect me to write. It's a story about the people that for, well, better or worse, make us who we are, made me who I am. The hopes that drive us forward, the failures that send us reeling, and the immense burden of grief and regret. Nobody's family is easy. Nobody's story is tidy, and I'm no different. A lot of people look at me, the stark white shirt, the blue suit, and yeah, the gelled hair, and they think, oh, I know this guy. I know this guy better than I'd ever want to know him. I get it. This is a story of a kid who always felt like he wasn't quite enough. This is a truly vulnerable book. It was incredibly hard, even painful to write. It's a story about living between two worlds, one of wealth and privilege, and the other.
Taima, if you were his top political aide, would you have approved that cut, or would you have asked it to be redone?
I don't know. There's some cognitive dissonance that I think Gavin Newsom is starting to ironically use, and I think he look, he's very astute, he's very smart, and I think he knows what he's doing. So he wouldn't have done this not understanding the intention behind it. He's just a brilliant guy. So I think he's like, look, I'm going to say these things, but I'm going to look like this. And people are going to be more interested in buying the book because they want to see if I'm actually being honest and I'm being true about my background. So I think maybe it's probably well done. I would have advised him to go ahead and hit click send and get it out there and see what people say.
Kristen, if you were Kamala Harris's top fundraiser, and you were pitching wealthy California donors who'd raised money and given money to both Newsom and Harris in the past, and you wanted to convince them not just to give to Harris if she runs for president, but to be exclusively for Harris and not write checks to both. What's the pitch you would make to say why they should support Harris over Newsom? Wealthy California Democratic donors.
I mean, there's a whole pitch deck you could put together, her name ID, her infrastructure, there's a number of different things like that. But looking at this video, I'd probably put together a few examples of, middle-class voters watching it and saying, wow, you had a tough life. Like, really? Like, I can't afford to pay my rent this month. And I would show them those examples and be like, look, he's so out of touch that going into the holidays when people are struggling to pay their rising heating bills and deciding whether they buy $37 or $2 for their kid, he's putting out there saying that he's had a tough life when he comes across as this guy who lives more comfortably than most. He's out of touch.
I totally appreciate that answer, truly. And I just want to make sure I'm not naive. Is that something that someone would actually do in a meeting like that? Like something that hardball?
Oh, yeah.
The good one, the good one's like, yeah, exactly.
If they both run, it's going to be a titanic battle for donors and for strategists and advisors because they share a ton of advisors.
Well, this has been this has been happening for a long time. I mean, they've been operating in this sphere around each other for
and pretending to really like each other a lot.
So we've been
it's an incredible story.
DA, Governor, Attorney General. We've been waiting.
It's an incredible story. I'll say, and we'll get to your questions. All I'll say is if they both run, the subplot of their rivalry, and as Jaime said, it's been going on for decades, is going to be a massive story. Massive story. And again, people now think she may well run.
They say that something that's easy is like a walk in the park. Well, easier than a walk in the park, hit the subscribe button, be part of the two-way community, never miss an episode, be part of our conversations. Thank you for your service to America.
And don't forget, you can now listen to the morning meeting and Two-Way Tonight on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.